in sight. Jason's got the insights, always gets it right. Sean's the wild card with a laugh in the night. On FolkLOOR, they banter about the latest fight. FolkLOOR podcast, stories non-stop. Entertainment, gossip, and tech's new crop. Loud opinions, like a punk rock pop. Marcus, Jason, Sean, they never drop.
And
some nice heavy breathing right there.
The process of you messed up my flow today trying to transition the music before the scene of the video. I tried, guys. But is my mic working?
Someday when we have a producer, at least your mic is on, so that gag is over.
I thought it was a dramatic intro, so I liked it.
It was This is dramatic, like driving off a cliff.
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of the FolkLOOR podcast. I'm Marcus Pittman. I'm with Jason Farley and Sean Tomlin. Today, we're going to be talking about Apple TV. I feel like this is becoming like an Apple Plus stan podcast because
I
feel like we've just been talking about Apple Plus for a while.
Should we promote Tubi or something instead today?
No, man, they just keep doing hit after hit after hit. It was Ted Lasso, and then Silo was pretty crazy. And then Severance, of course, and now we're talking about the studio that with Seth Rogan, which, just to be honest with you guys, I don't have the strongest opinions about. Well, I do. I don't have the strongest positive opinions about Seth Rogan, mainly because, and this is important for the studio, mainly because of the kinds of movies that he makes. Well, like Sausage Party. And you just go,
right.
Oh my gosh, this is just a trash movie. And, and he did two of them, Sausage Party 1 and 2.
There was a sequel?
There was a sequel. Yeah, there's a sequel. Or if it wasn't a sequel, maybe it was a series. They actually did a series.
Oh my gosh.
On Netflix or something. Somebody got a Sausage Party series. But just so when I think of everything that's wrong with Hollywood, I tend to think of Seth Rogen movies. And then Apple showed this trailer, which I honestly, I just saw Seth Rogen in it, and I'm like, oh, it's going to be Seth Rogen, and he's going to laugh. And that's going to be the Seth Rogen movie, because to be honest, the character Seth Rogen plays in every movie is Seth Rogen. Right?
Yeah, the promo goes...
Would you do it?
Yeah,
would you agree?
It's Seth Rogen starring Seth Rogen and a Seth Rogen film playing Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen, yeah.
It's like
as
Jennifer,
Seth Rogen.
Yeah, I want to be Jennifer Aniston and Seth Rogen. Like, I just walk out my door. Oh, hey guys, and they're filming, and I just get a check for $36 million, and my day's over.
Yeah. That is the impression I got, and then he released the studio on Apple. And Jason, why don't you set up that show for us?
So it is about a guy who starts as a PA, an assistant on set, who works his way all the way up to the head of the studio. And so he's been working for the same studio his entire career. He loves movies and wants to make great movies, and that's why he's there. And then gets to the top of the studio and discovers that the studio is more of an obstacle than anything to making good movies. Yeah,
crazy to me, because this is written and created by Seth Rogen, so they didn't just hire him to be the actor for this thing. This is his baby, and the premise of the show is, you can make art and lose money. This is the studio's position. You can make art and lose money, or you can make rebranded IP films that make millions of dollars. And in the pilot episode, the discussion is they've acquired the rights to make the Kool-Aid movie. And it's fun. It's a phenomenal commentary on the current state of Hollywood, I think, which I think is why Apple's so perfect for it, because they're not technically, or they're trying to not be a Hollywood studio system. They don't have to be. But go ahead, Sean. We're gonna say something.
I was just thinking, I was dying to ask you guys this. When you're watching the movie, did your creative executive development brain go in and actually try to think of a Kool-Aid movie? Because mine did.
Did it?
Yeah.
Did you? What is it? I want to know what it is.
Yeah, I thought about a guy who was just trying to get commercial gigs in Hollywood, and he was just kept failing. He didn't have the right look, and sometime it's like 1972 or whenever this happened, he got the Kool-Aid gig, and it's like the guy, kind of like those Santa Claus movies where it's like about the guy being Santa Claus in the mall. It was like that kind of angle. So it's really about the guy who has to wear that costume and be the Kool-Aid guy. And then the moment somewhere in like between 78 and 83 when they don't do practical anymore. Now everything is a little bit more CGI. And so he can't get his stunt double bump rate that he was getting because he was getting SAG day rate, but then he was getting stunt double day rate plus residuals. So he's making good coin, but then that starts to fall off. I mean, what do you guys think?
It can be really funny.
That's great. What were you thinking, Jason?
So my thought, I thought of do you remember that movie Stuart Little, where they adopt a mouse and everybody just acts like it's totally normal? I thought it would be really funny to have like just the actual Kool-Aid guy, and he just can never find work or anything because of what he looks like. And then all of a sudden they're casting exactly what he is, and so he like finally finds the perfect role, and so he goes from home. So it's a rags to riches story where he goes from homeless to a superstar because they finally are casting somebody that's but everybody treats him like he's like nobody thinks it's weird that he's a giant Kool-Aid. So he goes through like, when you meet him, he's working at an old folks home, pouring things to the old people.
Pouring Kool-Aid,
but he's living in his van. It's like. So that was what I thought of.
I love it. I love that. That's where our brains went. We actually were like, what would I do? What if I had to do this? Yeah. Marcus, what was yours? Did you have?
I actually, while I was watching it, I was actually thinking of Jonestown. I was like, that's got to be the movie, and then just to see, without spoiling the show, how it I mean, it was. I was like, well, if you're gonna do a Kool-Aid movie, you got to do it with a cult. Like there's got to be a cult element in it, and that was yeah. But just some things about that is, one, the way the show is shot, I actually really love it. It's every scene is one take, and you have the drum underscore, just like Saturday Night, which I know Sean hates. Sean, tell me why you hate that.
Okay,
I'll tell you why I like it.
But. Okay. I think it's a little bit okay. So the SNL movie did it too. It's just gimmicky. It's like somebody did it and it worked, and then everybody followed it, just like The Office. That whole documentary, looking off camera, that was awesome and it rocked. But then everyone and their cousin, Saul Rubenstein, copied it. And then I just think that you could be more original. And so that whole shaky camera, frantic energy, it gets dizzying after a while. And I think it's a crutch. I don't think you need to do it. I think it takes away from the storytelling. What say you?
Jason?
My opinion is it has to serve the story. So like in episode 2 of The Studio, it really serves the story to do a one shot. But then in episode 3, they don't do a one shot. They go back to normal because it doesn't serve the story anymore. And so I think that has to be the question is, does this one shot serve the story, or is it a way to show off? And sometimes it's a way to show off and it doesn't serve the story. But when it does serve the story, I'm all for it.
Can we re-edit this so you take out my answer and just use his?
I you know what? It gives me throwbacks to Aaron Sorkin's like the West Wing sort of stuff. And I think it's a little bit more intense versions of that with the drum score. But I think it's all about. I think you're right. It serves a story. It's all about creating this high energy, high fast paced sort of environment and pacing that I think works really well. But I definitely see how it can be overused. But I think the scale of the studio's one shots, I think that's really that I think it works well because it's a studio lot, and that is the sort of speed and pacing I would think of a studio lot. But my question is now that, and I haven't gotten this far to episode 3, but to say that they don't do that in episode 3 makes me think it was too hard and they gave up.
It could be, but the episode 3 is a much slower story. It's because it's about, I don't want to spoil it, but
okay, I got it. Yeah,
it's about. Well, I'll just say it's about giving notes, the process of giving notes, and so they need these cuts between different things in order to slow the story down enough to build tension. In a one shot would have not worked.
The question is, do they go back to that, or is that?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't gotten any further than episode 3.
Do you guys notice now with shows there'll be a warning up at the front, nudity, violence, but now there's this series contains flashing lights, which is for our audiences that's going to be a problem. I think there should be a similar warning to this series contains shaky camera and obnoxious use of drums because I have what could be deemed as an epileptic seizure when I think it's only fair that people like me are considered.
Weird, man. You come from the skateboarding punk rock scene.
Yeah, but we filmed so smooth, skate cam, everything was smooth and groove, and this whole shaky thing to.
But like early 90s MTV, everything was like cockeyed angles and 45 degrees and all that sort of stuff.
I want to admit this. I was that kid when I was a DP at 23, 24 that I started to do that because MTV did it. You know who slapped me? And this is a true story. I was 23, Stacy Peralta.
Really?
I worked with him on this TV show. I was like a kid. I was like, I can't believe I'm meeting Stacy. He was like, whatever, 28. I'm 23 at the time or something. And
he's an old man.
And I was doing the tilt thing and I was doing shaky cam because that was the thing in like 92, 93. He's like, he looks at me. He's like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, this is how I shoot. And he's like, no, stop it. And I was really like, here was my hero. And he was just calling me out. And I was eggy about it for about 10 years. And I have to still tell him the story because I haven't, but like I was eggy about it. And then as I grew up, I was like, man, this guy was right. And he was teaching me something. He was like, hey, let the story, you don't need to do all this trickery with the camera. And if you notice, I can't name them. You probably can, Marcus and Jason, but there's a lot of series where the pilot does all this. And I want to say the one with Christine Applegate, that one series, but there's a few where the pilot, it's all the shaky camera and all the stuff. And the second episode, they cut it out.
Hey, I understand why.
You don't need it.
Yeah. And it's hard.
But it also works for an MTV bumper in a way that you can't hold somebody's attention with camera work.
Yeah.
You lose, you have to hold them with a story.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with like adolescents. Like, I think maybe, so each episode's an hour long, right? And it's completely one shot. And I think only the first 5 minutes I realize it. Like I'm thinking about it being one shot. And the rest of the time the story gets in. And then every now and then you go, holy cow, this is one shot. They haven't, messed up once. And they were, there's a whole episode where they're driving, like, so they like 15-minute conversation of them in the car driving to a hardware store like a Home Depot, and then they go and shoot this whole thing in the Home Depot, get in their car and drive back to the house. That's the episode. Like it's insane. And I'm just thinking that when they're in the car, I'm like, man, like what if there was an accident or traffic in front of them and they had to go and redo the whole thing or whatever. It was nuts. There was a complexity there, but for the most part, you are really, the writing is so good, and you lose track of it. Yeah, but I think that's the real that shows a real skill of the cameraman where you're not thinking of it. It just is there and is part of it. But
You got to fully charge your battery too. If you don't, you really screw up.
Yeah.
I do think about that as someone who's done documentaries. I was like, man, the added weight of the battery he's probably carrying is making this a little bit harder.
But it's like, Chris Rock, his comedy, his stand-up, he will go and have the joke written on a 3x5 card and test it out at I think he's at the Underground in New York with no inflection, because he said, I know I can make people think something is funny by the way I say it, but I want to make sure that the joke itself is solid before I add any sort of inflection. And I think,
could you imagine going to see Chris Rock in a comedy club and him monotoning his jokes?
not only can I imagine it, I sometimes have dreams in which it happens.
Sounds like
That
a
would be
nightmare.
it sounds like a nightmare, and that feels like an extra layer he has to get over with the audience, and just where he's just like reading these jokes to see if they laugh. And yeah, wow, that's
Yeah. But that's the difference between like commitment to your craft, where I know he knows he can be funny on stage, but if that doesn't last, what's the guy that was in the Jackie Chan movies, Chris Tucker is an example of he can be funny on stage, but his stand-up didn't last because it didn't have the substance behind it. And when you want the substance too, you've got to actually work at it.
Yeah. No, I think that's I think that's really great. And so Jason, why don't we go? I want to get back into this discussion of the studio in the sense of how they license IP, and we'll get into Minecraft, the movie, and stuff like that. But first, why don't we go into your trivia?
Oh yeah, trivia question of the week. Okay, so the Food Network was launched by you guys ready?
Oh man!
Well, we're gonna get to the history of the Food Network.
History first. It's
Okay.
important.
I never thought I'd laugh so much. You're just saying the Food Network.
So the Food Network was launched by Providence Journal out of Providence, Rhode Island in 1993. And they filmed 5 original shows hosted by chefs. And they acquired rights to other chef-based shows like Emeril, Debbie Fields of the cookie fame, Julia Child's Library. But they had one show with a host that was not a chef. So all of their shows at launch, except one, were hosted by a chef. Who was the host of the Food Network show that was not a chef?
That's a great question.
That's today's question.
It's a great question.
That is a great question.
Just earned another PhD, by the way.
So if you're in the chat, I want to take a jab at that. Let us know. I have no idea.
I want to kind of this is my segue attempt. I want to segue from your trivia, back to the studio with weaving in the Kool-Aid. Are you with me?
I'm ready.
Go ahead.
Okay, here it is. This is always amazed me, and it's funny they didn't talk about it in the studio. But did you know that Jim Jones did not serve Kool-Aid in Guyana and Jonestown?
No.
That's true. So here's the trivia. This is my add-on trivia. What did he serve? It wasn't Kool-Aid. And this is the craziest, dirty little secret. It wasn't Kool-Aid.
Was it Tang?
It was Flavor Aid.
Oh,
It was Flavor Aid, and everybody at some point just changed it to Kool-Aid, and it's stuck. But it wasn't actually Kool-Aid. Which I don't know. You just sit on that for a minute.
That sucks for Flavor Aid.
Well, it sucks for Kool-Aid too when you think about it, because it's like, think of all the decades
Oh
of bad
yeah,
press.
that's right.
And
Yeah,
why didn't Judy in PR go, hey, we got to fix this? And no one fixed it.
Maybe it was Flavor Aid's idea. Maybe he said, "Oh no, say it was Kool-Aid." And
yeah, it was. I think it was Big Aid. Big Aid.
Big Aid.
They got together and they were like, "Man, we got to throw somebody under the bus." Oh.
This is This is Aidgate, and I think there's a whole documentary to be made here.
I bet, yeah, and I bet the Kool-Aid Man was their attempt to undo the bad PR.
Right? Yeah. That's fantastic. So, speaking of licensed IP like Kool-Aid or what the Lego Movie is a great example, and taking these mainstream properties and making motion pictures out of them. Jason, you saw the Minecraft movie?
I did.
Today.
Went over the weekend with my son to the Minecraft movie. And I had an incredibly good time, which is not the same thing as saying that movie was a masterpiece, but it was a movie for people that grew up on Minecraft, and they just loved that audience and said, we are going to give you exactly what you hope a Minecraft movie would be. And they had people cheer. I mean, it was mid-Sunday afternoon, and it was packed. The theater was packed. We had to take the two seats for disabled people. That was all that was left. And but people were cheering and laughing and clapping all throughout the movie whenever they would make a very specific Minecraft reference. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I got this video I'm gonna pull up.
That's exactly what my theater was like.
Yeah,
people were saying the lines along with it.
Yeah, no, there's another video. I thought that might have been it, but everybody just starts standing up and clapping and like freaking out. But yeah, so I saw that clip and I was like, oh man, I don't know enough about Minecraft. because I played a lot of Minecraft, but I played very early beta days of Minecraft when you would just buy it from their website and download the exe. And I played for hours and hours of that stuff. But any of the, like, once it got into like all the Minecraft lore and like all the story driven stuff that they did and the Netherworld and all that stuff, I just completely, like, I've not been on Minecraft in that era. It's like that wasn't my era of Minecraft that I was into. So but now I kind of want to go see the movie and just see how many references I can pick up.
I want to go see the movie now.
I think it was worth seeing in the theater because the crowd was so into it. Like, that's what made me enjoy it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah,
the joy was infectious. I played a little bit of Minecraft with my kids, but I was terrible at it. But they were like, Dad, how did you die? It's Minecraft. I was like, I don't know. I drown, I think. But they're like, well, you just push the button and you swim. I was like, I didn't know that. But the joy that all of the people in the theater had, it was just really infectious because they could tell this was made for them, and it didn't talk down to them. It didn't make fun of them. It just was like, yeah, this was a fun game, right? We all loved it. Let's have fun together in this version of it.
So yeah, we like need more of that. in our lives and in the world, right? Like
That
we've lost that everybody being engaged and cheering in the theater. You know, like I'm not a fan of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, but that did a great job of like people engaged and they interacted in the theater.
Yeah.
What after
Yeah, I
you
mean, well, when Wicked came out, there were theaters posting signs that was like, "Please no singing during the movie," and I'm like, "That what a
yeah,
terrible thing," because
no
like
fun here.
that is like yeah, like when you go to a movie like that, it's like a once in a lifetime experience. Like I still remember seeing Jurassic Park for the first, like I'll never be able to see Jurassic Park again for the first time. Like
Yeah.
I saw it on like the 20-year anniversary of it. I believe I saw it in theaters. They re-released it, and it was still amazing, even more so 20 years later because of how well it holds up. But it wasn't like I'll never be able to like the first time you see that water ripple with the footsteps of the T-Rex, like you can never get like you'll never be able to re-experience that together with a group of people who have never seen it before. And that's why remakes like a sequel to Jurassic Park. You know, I watched a really good YouTube video on this. It was like half hour long, just explaining how you can't relive that movie. Like the sequel can't, because there's this awe and wonder of seeing humans and dinosaurs at a park for the first time, and then the orchestra and you've never heard the Jurassic Park theme song before. And like, you know, he takes his glasses off and looks up at the dinosaur, and then it cuts and you're seeing the dinosaur for the very first time that Grant is seeing the dinosaur. Like you just can't, it'll never happen again. And so but those are those moments that like you don't get with remakes. You do get it with IPs. So I don't think an IP is this like is necessarily the same thing. I don't think I'm gonna get that excited when I see Monopoly the board game the movie. I'm not gonna be like, oh look, it's a Scottish Terrier, you know. Oh
You
look,
would with Checkers though. Checkers. I heard the Checkers movie is going to be
maybe with Checkers.
yeah.
But yeah, you know, but video games like a game like Minecraft is probably at least 2 generations right now, right? So
Yeah.
so you have a lot of stored capital over time that and a big fan base for that sort of thing. But you know, I when I saw the Super Mario Brothers that movie, I was just like ear to ear smiling the entire time, and with the audience was doing the exact same thing, like hearing all the references and stuff. And you know, you're looking at Easter eggs, and you know, there's like an antique store where they got like 8-bit, like, you know, Mario icons and stuff. It's just like it's amazing. Like that was an amazing thing. And that movie was also made in such a way that they loved the audience, and you could tell Nintendo um, had its hand on it. And now I think they're doing a live action Zelda movie now. Like that was the last report I heard. So that'll be interesting to see. I'm nervous about that because
Yeah. I don't trust them with rescuing a princess. She's going to rescue herself. That's
100%, and that makes me really nervous.
Or a princess just doesn't need to be rescued is probably going to be their take.
yeah.
Hey, I got a question for you, Jason. This is a serious
Yeah.
question. I'm going to nerd out a little bit. If you had to dissect, what were the ingredients? What was the mechanisms in that scene that got all those kids? Like, what is it about that scene that just got everyone to jump out of their seats? What was it?
I think, well, the timing of it was really good, right? You had the build up was really good. But then I think that that particular thing in Minecraft is like one of the biggest, like, not bad guys, but you know, hard to defeat. And so they were waiting for, you know, you see the chicken, and then they drop the little guy onto it, and
you had the build.
so I think that a big part of it is that like people are waiting to see it. I also think it got turned into a meme And so people also knew that this was something in the movie that they were waiting for in advance. So, but I mean, if you think about it, most of those kids had fought that bad guy before in the game.
Yeah.
And so seeing the main character fight it, suddenly you're there. You've got all of these memories of fighting that chicken.
Is that the secret sauce, though? Is the fact that you're bringing a storyline to life, knowing that only the diehard fans understand what it is, and so there's some psychology there of like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a typical movie. There's this whole backstory not underground, but like
there's lore.
There's lore. Yeah, there's lore behind it. And is that what it is? You know, that like, because you can't get that from just a normal movie.
You know, most of the time a movie has to build its lore as it goes. I mean, the only one, or you know, maybe not the only, but one of the moments in the theater that had a even bigger response was when Captain America catches Thor's hammer for the first time. The theater I was in exploded, but they had built that lore over 21 good movies and one bad movie.
What was the bad movie?
Captain Marvel.
Oh yeah.
It's awful. Yeah. But they had built that, you know, all the way back in the first movie with Thor. There's the talk about nobody can lift it, you know, and they hinted at it in one of the early movies where the only person that could even move it a little bit was Captain America, and nobody else could even move it. And then he catches it at the end. So they had to build that lore. You're working with pre-built lore in the Minecraft movie, and you got the same sort of response.
Yeah, it's a really cool phenomena, and it gives you hope and joy to see that like you can still create that kind of magic in the theater. That's a cool thing.
I mean, you had a similar response in Wolverine, Deadpool and Wolverine, when instead of Captain America, he said "flame on." That was a movie made for people that stood by Sony through a bunch of terrible movies. And they just said, we want to honor you as an audience for standing by us during these terrible movies and bring closure, you know, to the Fantastic Four that we never finished, and bring closure to, you know, so that was a movie that really loved its audience I think too.
And that scene got a ton of press too. So it did double duty.
It did,
and it underscores what you said earlier about, I think it was before we started the cast today, but like the fact that you love your own audience and you respect them, and you're
I lost my mind at that moment. Like when that happened, I've sitting right beside Jason.
Yeah.
And we were
right in front of the guy dressed like Wolverine, remember?
Everybody's expecting Captain. That's right. Yeah, the guy was dressed as Wolverine behind us, and everybody's expecting a Captain America moment. And it was like immediately you realize what kind of movie this was going to be. Like in an instant, like it put you, this is a Fox Marvel thing we're going, and it was just unbelievable, man. And just, you know, I'm so glad Ryan Reynolds rewrote the script, apparently, if the rumors are true. He rewrote Disney's script completely and did that film. But but I think that's the importance of, like, you know, especially, you know, as we're at FolkLOOR, we're building this independent filmmakers and new content with a focus on new IP, you know, and a lot of these things are like multi-generational plays to get to that moment in the theater where everybody cheers and screams and stuff. Whereas like people like to drink Kool-Aid, but I don't think there's any real brand loyalty, right? Because like for the most part, I think people would choose like the Walmart version or the Great Value version of Kool-Aid if it's cheaper for you, right? But there's no real lore connected to like the Kool-Aid man. right? And wait. Oh, by the way, this is a complete side note. I watched Jason, did you see that YouTube video I sent you? It's like a half an hour long documentary on the cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs bird. And
No.
Oh
you didn't
man,
see that?
a half
No.
hour. You need to dedicate at least 2 hours to that story.
It was like the most unbelievable. It's like this guy, and all he does is he makes like conspiracy theories about movies and characters and stuff. And it was like the whole lore of like this world where he's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but he's the only one who he's the actual only animal character that doesn't want Cocoa Puffs. And he's the only animal character that doesn't want the cereal. Tricks, the Lucky Charms, they're all trying to steal the cereal, but for some reason he's like addicted, dangerously so, and he's trying to stay away from it, but everybody's tempting him to do it. But he goes back all to the 1950s stuff and like it comes up with this whole amazing conspiracy theory about how humans versus birds, and they attacked and fed them Cuckoo Puffs and made birds dumb and animalistic. And like it was amazing, man. Like that was one of the most amazing things. I was like, I don't know if that's probably not intentional, but he was able to go back all the way through all the commercials from 1950s and put this narrative together of like,
Can we get that? And let's get that. And put it on lore. That sounds awesome.
It's on YouTube, man. The guy's incredible, man. He just
Sounds
does these
genius.
crazy lore, background folklore sort of stuff to these IPs, and yeah.
Man.
But not that was interesting. Like if you were to pitch me a Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs movie about humans and birds in a war and feeding birds chocolate because chocolate is deadly for birds, like that just is.
Was there a cameo by Count Chocula? Because I always liked that too.
Well, yeah, I mean, like what was cool about it is he went through like the history of all these animated cartoon characters, and every one of the cartoon characters is obsessed with getting the cereal. And then the Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs is the only one who is adamant that he doesn't come near it.
Because of an addiction issue, right?
Because this is like 1950s, 60s, so there's like a lot of themes to like drug addiction and stuff, and but it was amazing. I'll have to send it to you again, Jason, but it was truly one of the best things I've seen on YouTube. Really well done, high quality production too.
We should pitch like a version 2 to Dr. Drew and maybe get him in on it. Because he's addiction specialist. So
Dr. Drew talking to Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah, about his addiction and what it's a powerful story. It's inspiring.
It's a powerful, I mean, decades upon decades, this man's been trying to fight his addictions, and everybody's been tempting him. So it was incredible. So I guess you can't do that, but the point is, like, in order for that YouTube video for me to watch that and go, wow, this is really amazing. That he was able to like completely make up this lore you have decades of content to be able to create this sort of story and narrative. So like with lore, like we're going with independent artists, like this is a long game in that you build up artists and then you create new ideas and IP, so that your grandkids can experience it for the first time like you did. Like that's really the goal of, I think, when you're talking about making storytellers in a world. Like that's really what you want to do. But like Marvel and Disney, all those sort of things, they have 100 years of time behind them. Same thing. We're almost at 50 years of Nintendo now. Like it's insane.
Disney was still able to crash and burn Snow White.
Well, I should mention that Nintendo, the company, started in 1890, doing other games and toys, and then recently into video games within the past 50 years. That's an insane amount of capital and time commitment to building those sort of franchises and stuff. They don't just happen overnight with the Kool-Aid. You acquired the rights to Kool-Aid, so
Okay, hey, I don't know if we actually got through this, but do you like the studio? Like overall, what's your
Yeah.
take on it? You like it?
I,
Okay.
I think for someone like Seth Rogan to produce this show who's known for being in a lot of bad movies and producing a lot of bad movies, for him to create a show that says that's all the studio wants are these bad movies because the bad movies make money and I can't make good movies. That to me, there's a lot of background that he's not telling. There's and it's real easy to look at Seth Rogen and go, this guy's a complete joke. And then you watch him do this and you go, oh, maybe that's just all he could do. And Jason, you mentioned too, like just how Hollywood's ruined comedy movies in general by not even letting you do, there's a lot of sentiment that, because you can't be controversial, you can't do anything edgy anymore. That would offend people. They've kind of let diversity and inclusion basically strip comedy movies from being comedy movies. And I think that there's a lot of sentiment in this show.
You just gave me an idea. You always give me an idea, Marcus. You want to know what it is?
Yeah.
What if you said no? I don't want to know. I'd override that decision. You gave me an idea. You know how there's Rochambeau, the game you play to make a decision?
Yeah.
I want to do a game called Rogan Shambo, and it's Joe Rogan, Fred Rogan, or Seth Rogan, and you got to figure out which one beats what. Rogan Shambo.
Yeah, you have to give it a scenario. Say, okay, it's a wrestling match. Which Rogan is? Then you decide which Rogan beats which.
Yeah,
it's a stand-up comedy. Which Rogan
Frank
beats?
Rogan? Who's Frank Rogan? Should I know who
Fred Rogan was a KNBC sports guy in LA, kind of very well known in Los Angeles. I think going back to the '80s, and he's now on. Now I think he's in the Palm Springs area. But anyways, he's like a news guy that everybody knew in LA, kind of like a Trace Gallagher. But we got to workshop it. But I just like it, Rogan Shambo.
Yeah, I think Fred Rogan's out in the wrestling match, but I think Seth Rogen pulls out some weed and Joe Rogan starts smoking it, and then Joe Rogan gets distracted by Seth Rogen's weed, and then that's how Seth wins.
Yeah. No, that's pretty good.
That's a celebrity death match right there.
I know. That's exactly what would happen.
That's right. I like that.
But it would also be like Seth Rogen laughing and somebody just, Joe Rogan's headphones going, stop, and then his head explodes or something.
Yeah, that's his secret weapon.
Yeah, his laugh.
I want to get your opinion on something. So I watched the studio, the first episode, with Annette last night, and I was laughing a lot. Because it was so inside, all the jokes about first right of refusal and exclusive, is all this stuff that was like, oh my gosh, I lived this at Fox for 10 years and I could relate to all of it. But I realized she wasn't laughing at all. And so we had to pause a lot so I could give context. And I thought, oh, and that's not good because I'm laughing a lot because it's so.
Yeah, my wife didn't like the show either.
Yeah.
She didn't. I don't think she got it either.
So then I started thinking, oh, this show is literally made for me and maybe not a lot of other people because the fact I had to hit pause, give her context, and then I'd get a chuckle from her. I was like, that's not a good show.
Yeah. If you have to explain a lot.
Yeah. If you need to add exposition onto the story, so I just was curious your thoughts on that.
Well, I think it's the same way, one of the things, what's the name of that show that Sorkin did about Saturday Night Live, but it wasn't Saturday Night Live? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like he did. So after The West Wing, Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip.
Okay.
That was the show he did. And that was a lot of inside baseball too. So I don't know if the studio is going to have big ratings, but it's playing for industry people. It's probably going to get tons of awards.
Right.
Yeah. But it's not funny when you extract your knowledge, when you take out your knowledge of the industry and all the insider jokes. It's not as funny. It's not super funny.
Yeah. Well, the second episode is all on set, and it it made me stress out a number of times because I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly like on set. I can imagine that happening. Whereas if you'd never been on set, I think a lot of the jokes wouldn't be funny. So yeah, I do think it's inside baseball.
But isn't that okay though? Like, Sean, I could come out.
Maybe not for the price.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's
maybe with a discount it works.
That's true. So that's a big budget for a very small audience. That's a great point. Yeah, because I was gonna before Jason interrupted, I was gonna say, but so is like skateboarding videos. But then of course those are lower cost.
Yeah.
You know, I did get some value. I got a great line out of the first episode though. And I'll probably never use it, but if I ever have to, I will. And that was when Seth says to the director, "Hey, I got some ideas," and he says, "Hey, we're all good on ideas." Like it was like the ultimate just slap down. Like, no, we're pretty good in the idea department. So thanks. It's like, wow, I'll have to be armed with that the next time someone says, "Hey, I got an idea."
We're all good on it. Oh, that's pretty funny.
Yeah. Hey, do we have any mail?
Oh, we don't, but I'm going to pretend that we do.
Okay.
And I'm going to read this letter that's from Sean. How do you pronounce that? Sean Tomlin. Dear Jason and Marcus, I have a couple show ideas I want to run by you.
We're all good on ideas.
Foiled again.
Well, there we go. Man, that was great. That was such a great setup.
I didn't see that coming / didn't see that coming, and I should have. I set that up.
Oh, man.
I teed up my own bogey.
Well, should I get you the trivia answer?
You should.
Okay. So our trivia question, the Food Network.
Which has been the best joke of the whole podcast.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Those 3 words.
The Food Network, launched by Providence Journal in 1993, filmed 5 original shows hosted by chefs and then acquired the rights to other chef-based shows. But they had one show with a host that was not a chef. Who was that host? And the answer is Robin Leach.
Oh.
He had a show called
Wishes and Caviar Dreams.
Exactly.
We are going to, it's Monday night.
It is.
So we have viewer mail.
Yes.
Hey, real quick. He looks like Christopher Hitchens ate a seal or something.
Mail.
This is so cool, I think. I don't have
Does
no idea
everybody understand how this works?
No, I have
People
no
sit
idea.
at home in their computer little den and then they fax us extraordinary letters.
He's explaining email.
He's calling it a fax.
Okay, that's all we need right there.
Okay.
That's all we
That's
need.
good.
What a great find. By the way,
Yeah.
I could watch a lot of hours of that. That's a great find. And his suit jacket was a little bit too small. Just noticed.
It was. Yeah. Somebody should have told him that.
Robin Leach. For people that don't know, Jason, could you explain what Robin Leach and why
he was most
phenomenon?
famous for Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, where he traveled around with a show showing the most the biggest houses, wealthiest people. The final episode was about 2 Chainz. And they wrapped that show up, and then but yeah, he took 2 years and did a show called Talking Food, visiting restaurants and cooking schools. And here's famous restaurants, and they were mostly in Vegas because Vegas gave money to the show to try and get people to come for food to Vegas. So
is the humor not lost on you, Jason, that a man who wasn't extremely wealthy made his claim by hanging out with wealthy people, that his last name was Leach?
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's great. He's a genius.
He was great.
Yeah. He was, and he basically made money off his accent. I mean, If
Oh,
we're
if he was
totally
from,
honest.
he was from Kentucky, forget about it. Like, there's no
Yeah,
way.
exactly.
He would have been a no. He would have been Mr. Kool-Aid.
Well, Marcus, our band sent over the
All right.
the video.
Oh, those guys. Did you
What
hear,
is-
by the way,
what
the
is the
leads?
What's
you
the
guys?
style they're doing today? Do you know?
Yeah, what style are they doing?
I believe it is Frog Stomp.
Can I, before you play the song, I
Yeah.
do want to let you guys in on something, and I'm not supposed to say it, but I feel like this is the right venue to share something private. I heard, this is just a rumor, that the lead singer of our band is thinking about going on a solo career. So just putting it out there that
Okay.
we might have to look for a new singer.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
All right. Well, that's traumatic.
yeah, solo. I mean, I feel like it's so early to go for a solo career. At least like Stevie Nicks waited 6 years.
Yeah.
This guy waited like 6 weeks.
Well,
I
she
mean-
waited 6 years and $6 million worth of cocaine to start hers.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's kind of a
to be
break-even
fair-
deal.
To be fair, writing a whole new song and a whole new style in 45 minutes is probably a complicated job.
It's gonna
Yeah.
wear down the tire tread faster than your usual. Yeah,
Right.
50,000 mile. You're right.
Lights, camera, chaos on the set tonight. Script rewrites dropping like meteorite. The director yells, but nobody hears. Studio meltdown fueled by caffeine and tears. Jump like a frog, stomp the set into the dirt. Dysfunction reigns and it's gonna hurt. Minecraft movie in the blocky haze. Jurassic madness in Hollywood's maze. Robin Leach pours syrup on celebrity fries. On the Food Network, he's the king of lies.
What?
But it's all off beat.
I don't know.
Hey,
And a potluck defeat.
I want to hear this.
Jump like a frog, stomp the set into the dirt. Dysfunction reigns and
Catchy tune, man.
It is.
I can't believe he wants to go solo. But I kind of can see why.
Jurassic madness in Hollywood's maze.
Wow.
Podcasts are screaming into echo chambers, spitting hot takes while the world dismembers. Kool-Aid Man puffs through with the mighty, oh yeah, but even he can't fix this industry's despair.
Wait, is this like Puddle of Mud meets Linkin Park? What is this?
I think it's Silverchair. It is.
With this really radical 80s lead guitar.
Roars clash with 8-bit creepers. An unholy mix for these studio weepers.
Good bass work.
It's on fire, the producers in tears. But hey, that's the magic of a nightmare premiere. Jump like a frog.
Oh,
That
Wow.
was good. That was
Wow.
good. They get better every week.
They're
Yeah.
getting better every week.
yeah. Thanks everybody for tuning in and being a part of the show. And be sure to go to LOOR.tv and subscribe and fund independent artists and filmmakers with your loot. Anything else, guys?
That's lore.tv. Wait, no. Let me do that again.
No.
That's lore.tv. LOOR.tv.
All right, guys. Have a great day.